Cryptic Humility.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Cryptic Humility. We are on episode 9, which I can't believe. The weeks have been going by so fast, and we've been pushing out content left and right for you guys, but it is episode 9. This week we're going to be talking about Web 3, Web 2, Web 1. My name is Vanessa Hurley. I am your host and guide. Can I just say 2 things? Number 1, I ditched the headphones for this podcast because I really feel like it was cramping my style wearing the headphones every day. So unrelated. But number 2, I feel like we don't even realize that we were alive in such a pivotal time for technology and for the internet, for cell phones. It's so crazy because like if I were to have kids right now, they would be maybe so accustomed to all the technology that was brought the last 20 years. But for me, I've lived in so many eras, and I just want to take a moment to recap on this before we talk about the evolution of the internet because it's so crazy. Like when I was born, my mom was still recording like home videos on like one of the antique like video recorders. They had flip phones. They were just starting to get flip phones. I grew up my whole childhood, no electronics besides maybe the Wii.
Apparently, sometimes I don't watch the news because I'm a kid. And
when Just Dance came out. And my first cell phone I got when I was like 11 years old, and it was a flip phone. And then eventually the iPhone came out, which we're going to talk about how the iPhone literally pretty much changed the entire world and was a huge part of the evolution of Web 2. But so yeah, I mean we've lived I feel like I've lived so many lives, like and as we go through the evolution of the internet, you're gonna probably see for yourself, like, yeah, Vanessa, I know we've evolved as a society, we've gotten more technologically advanced, like I know all these things, but really when you're boiling down and looking at the timeline and the time frame and how much we've grown in just such a short amount of time, and to be this person like living in every single era is just, it's so fascinating to me. I want to talk to you guys about it. I want to stir up this conversation because let's see, where is Web 3 gonna go, and is there gonna be a Web 4, and what does Web 4 look like? So let's get into it, starting with chapter 1, where we're going to be talking about Web 1. So Berners-Lee was the pioneer. He was a computer scientist, a computer specialist in the 1990s who discovered pretty much the internet. He discovered HTML, URL, HTTP, all these addresses, if you will, where you can punch in a specific web address and it will bring you to the information that you're looking for so you can retrieve information. A big part of Web 1 in this whole section is retrieving information. So if we're looking at this pyramid of Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, Web 1, the baseline was just for people to pretty much receive and retrieve information. So if somebody wanted to go onto the internet and read about the local news or read about the global news, read about what's happening in the world, they would be able to do that by using URL, HTML, or HTTP, these computer codes, if you will, to be able to enter into certain websites and even like certain blogs, which we're about to talk about, and things like that. But people really truly were only able to retrieve information. Maybe they were able to send emails, which emails were finally evolving and starting so people could message each other over the computer in real time. And when I was in 2nd grade, before I even had a phone, I had an email. And me and my friend in 2nd grade, we would send emails back and forth to each other, call each other on the phone and be like, "Did you get my email?" So and obviously that was our home phone. That was when home lines were still a thing. So it's just crazy. People don't realize like how much things have drastically changed. But I'm here today to recap on all those things. Something that very little sparked social media interaction, if you will, like the very beginning of social media interaction, if you will, was blogs. And I believe in my reading, Justin Hall was one of the first bloggers ever on the internet. I think this was like in 1995 or 1997, somewhere in the late 1990s. But it's crazy, even like social media interaction wasn't quite a thing yet. Like blogs were the biggest thing back then, and now I don't even know a single person who might have a blog. And we could say that blogs maybe have evolved, and they're not, as computer ridden as they were. Now people on social media are doing, get ready with me, or a day in my life. And borderline, we could call this somewhat of a blog, but not really a blog, but maybe an advanced version of a blog. Oh, and actually, I wanted to mention that Netscape Navigator was the #1 internet browser in the 1990s, which eventually got beat out by Microsoft. But Netscape Navigator was the first ever internet browser that people would use to create or to find and retrieve information that they were looking for. Okay, chapter 2, let's talk about Web 2. So as much as Web 2 advanced us technologically, meaning that there was a lot of technological advancement that went into Web 2, that is agreed upon. But truly, Web 2 was social advancement. Web 2 opened up the entire world of social media, and not only retrieving information, but being able to post information, share your ideas, create a platform. And obviously we've seen that with the iPhone. Once the iPhone came out and Snapchat came out and Instagram came out, I remember when Snapchat and Instagram came out, it was like earth-shattering news. Like, I cannot even tell you how many people got into it so quickly, and it just became such a normalized thing in my teenage years, which was interesting. But on TikTok, for example, you can now create a profile. You can now share your ideas. You can create an entire world within your profile. You can share your ideas. You can debate topics. You can have a career on social media. What's so crazy between Web 1 and Web 2 that not enough people talk about is that you can now have a career on the internet. When people were posting blogs, sure, maybe, yeah, you could create somewhat of a career through your blog. Would it take you a long time? Absolutely, to grow awareness and etc. But now we have access to billions of people immediately. Web 2 and the iPhone, for example, has opened up people, central organizations like Instagram's company or TikTok's company or Snapchat's company to have their own base, if you will, or their own network, if you will, where their users can collab, share, and voice their opinions, their perspectives, and their lives. And not only that, but social media platforms like TikTok will not only promote your content, but also fund your lifestyle. Like, now you can have a career through social media. You can, like, instead of being a public speaker and having to go to high schools to build your career and then colleges to build your career, which if you're a public speaker now, you'd still maybe have to do that. But now you could do all your public speaking over Web 2 and immediately be introduced to like millions of people. I mean, obviously if your content is good. I mean, if you guys are watching me on TikTok right now, I have like 700 followers, maybe like 200 views every now and then. So I'm not saying that it's easy, but like the opportunity in Web 2 is far greater than it's ever been for people to have a career on the internet, share their ideas on the internet, not only just get real-time news, but like now truly we are getting real-time news more than we ever have. Like on TikTok, there's like a plethora of like news, like Fox News, ABC News on TikTok immediately posting. It's like you are right in the know, and almost as if you were there. So Web 2 offers so many benefits with social media advancement and social media, social interaction in general, being able to talk and share our ideas and communicate and honestly, like, be in touch so much more with other humans and see where our global vibration is at. Like, honestly, and I don't even know if this is a good thing, but now more than ever are we able to see our global vibration. And it depends which side of social media you're on. Like, I mean, Instagram had really good intent, and then we saw that Instagram now can be it can be what you use it to be. If it's for your business, it can be amazing. If it's for your, like just to flex on people and post pictures, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not throwing any judgment towards anything or anyone. I'm just saying that we've seen such an advancement in social media, but is it for good or for worse? On a business perspective, it's amazing in regards to our global vibration and seeing the younger generation and how they act and seeing younger people and what they're involved with, what they're influenced with. It's questionable if Web 2 is evolving us towards our highest potential. Maybe we're in a process of rising to that potential, but I think it's interesting. Web 2 has opened up a global vibration, being able to see like where all of our minds are at, and our IQ, our intelligence as the human race, all on social media. I think we're able to see our IQ level as a community much more so on social media, and just even education, like all the tips and tools we're able to give through social media that we were never able to do. You could through the internet, but like even huge platforms like Uber or like Google. It absolutely changed our entire world. Being able to just Google and find an answer, like if you're like freaking out that you're a, what's the word? Like you're a hypochondriac or something, where you freak out if you have like an illness or something. You could just Google and all your worst fears will come up instantly. It's like, who could want anything better than that? But no, seriously, like having Google has completely changed our world too, and that's a huge factor of Web 2. Oh my god, I really wanted to mention this as well. So I, during COVID, decided to do Instacart, which I don't even know why I'm laughing. It was honestly a really good job, and I got paid pretty good money. But it's interesting because like concepts like that would never exist without Web 2. Like we would never be able to just, somebody creates a platform where all these people are working to buy your groceries, and you can just click online which groceries you're looking for at which specific place, and somebody will go do all your shopping for you, drive to your house and drop off your groceries. Like that would never happen without Web 2. So it's fascinating to me. I think Web 2 is so powerful. We've come so far in social media, and there also have been negative sides to Web 2, which I didn't mention, and that is all the companies that did not evolve with Web 2. So I think it's so important as a business, you're always staying up in date with the new, what's going on in society, the new trends, and how is that going to help make your business grow or also help you work smarter. So we've seen huge companies like Sears or even JCPenney, and now actually I think even Hooters, big global companies that are not involved in social media. And I know that like Hooters, I'm not saying like all of these, but I'm just saying like, I know Hooters is involved somewhat in social media, but I'm saying like Sears and all these big corporations and big companies, where if they're not evolving with society, when actually, let me take you out of even big companies, like all the Kardashians stay relevant through social media. They stay relevant through the trends, through following trends, through setting trends, through denying trends, whatever it may be. But for the longest time, they did not evolve to TikTok. They thought TikTok was a joke. They didn't want to get involved in TikTok. They didn't like really see the potential in TikTok. And for TikTok had been around and gotten so popular, and then they were like, okay, we have to stay on TikTok to stay relevant. And that's very true. And honestly, from a business perspective, it makes sense. I don't want to get off track, but I'm saying that a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, a lot of influencers evolving from Instagram to TikTok. We've even seen such advancements from Instagram to TikTok. So it's like, if you don't evolve with even Web 3, which we're about to get into, then you might sacrifice, one, losing a lot of potential in your business, two, losing relevancy, or three, like all in all, just losing the opportunity to work smarter for your company. Lastly, before we get into Web 3, I also want to mention online banking. Online banking has been a game changer. And so, wait, did you guys know that I used to work at the bank? Working at the bank, seeing such a huge shift to online banking is going to diminish the banking world. So it's like, how do banks stay relevant as Web 2 and Web 3 are evolving? The banks had to move to online. They had to adapt to Web 2 and that evolvement and letting people deposit checks online. And honestly, it was such a smart move for businesses. I mean, businesses and banks, I'm sorry, meaning banks, because it helped them evolve with the times, but also it helped workers at the bank work smarter and not harder. Now, instead of having 20 people come in to deposit a check, they can just sit on their couch, take a picture of the check, and AI technology, all these things, banking technology will do it for us. The bank teller can now sit and confirm that the check is going to get deposited instead of having to do all of that social interaction. As much though as we're having social interaction in Web 2 online, it's like, is that diminishing all the social interaction we are having in person? Is that affecting people being able to be direct, be confrontational, have great communication skills? I don't want to say definitely, but I think in the future that could have a huge impact on humans, like human to human connection, because in the 1990s, obviously we saw so much more human to human connection with the lack of cell phones. Like, if you really weren't feeling somebody, you would have to say it to their face, you know? Like, you would not be able to run and text somebody and like, so Web 2 offers a lot of problems as well. Not saying we can't work through them, but it's interesting to see that we might have a lack of social advancement in person now, or a lack of social accountability, like people being able to address each other. Businesses that don't evolve with the internet might experience issues in their revenues, in their marketing, in just overall business function. And yeah, we've seen big companies like Sears, for example, go under, but we've also seen huge companies like Instacart be a huge opportunity for people who maybe have less time, be able to work with a company and just on their phone and be able to have convenience. So as much as Web 2 has opened up a world of convenience and social media interaction and careers online and all these wonderful things, if you do not take advantage of that, you could seriously miss out on huge opportunities for yourself and for your company. Wow, okay, so we have so much to talk about in Web 3, and I want to be able to explain this to you guys in simple terms, but so now we are evolving into Web 3 internet, and Web 3 internet is simply decentralization, blockchain technology, maybe even crypto, but the main focal point is person-to-person network transfers and transactions. So just like how on social media we have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, these are all companies run by one main company, run by one main institution, one main host, one main network, one main server, if you will. And these people are surveillancing us or censoring us, and I'm not saying like completely all the time. I'm just saying that this one company, this one organization has the ability to censor us or to surveillance us on their social media platform. What Web3 is trying to do is put more power to the people. So the last 2 episodes that we just talked about were about dApps. dApps are decentralized applications that run right now on Ethereum's blockchain. They are all different kinds of social media apps, platforms, wealth management tools. Definitely check out those 2 podcast episodes because it's super educational towards Web3 and where our internet is going. But all the dApps are run by its users. So we know in Web3, in the future, now and in the near future, we're not going to as much see Elon Musk running X as much as we see the people using X, running X, managing X, talking about the policies of X. And I mentioned Decentraland in the last podcast episode, and Decentraland is a virtual world. It's a dApp, but all the users run Decentraland. So they run where the virtual world is heading, the policies, the regulations, the rules, and there's also a marketplace, but all the users are now running the social media app instead of big businesses and organizations or even billionaires like Elon Musk. But So why I think this is a positive thing is, like I said, it's putting more power to the people, but also it's eliminating censorship and surveillance. So if all people are regulating a D app, freedom of speech is to be protected, because it's not one governing party managing and censoring where society is going. Let's give an example. If Elon Musk, let's say, like, was not in favor of freedom of speech, but he's running X, it's like he could be able to censor or delete or remove certain tweets that don't align with his agenda and his mission. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's doing that. He believes in free speech, and I love that, and I love X. I use the X all the time for this podcast, and personally, I'm always on there reading the news, but D apps are trying to diminish any central party having any control, censorship, surveillance, regulation of freedom of speech, and putting more power towards multiple people who actually value and use the platform. Also, when we're thinking about Google or Bing, or Safari, we're also diminishing those concepts of Google storing all the information or Bing storing all the information. Instead, now on the internet, you should be able to look up the content that you are looking for, and it won't be at an exact web address. Instead, it could be decentralized, so it could be in multiple different places depending on the content that you're looking for. So instead of punching in a URL and the internet guiding you right to one specific place, now you should be able to work kind of with yourself to punch in content that you're looking for, and that content being in various different places. Think about it like this. If you are into retail, like let's say you are on eBay and you sell your own stuff, like you knit sweaters and you sell your sweaters through eBay. Instead of using eBay, which eBay might even charge you a fee to use eBay, to sell things on eBay, to trade things on eBay, whatever it is, instead of using eBay, we would diminish eBay entirely. You would be your own marketplace, and then you could do a peer-to-peer network transaction with the person trying to buy your goods. There would be no third-party intermediary, so we wouldn't need Cash App, we wouldn't need Venmo, we wouldn't need PayPal, we wouldn't need any of these people, eBay, to do retail transactions with each other, to buy things from each other, which I also think is a really cool concept of Web3. No longer are we giving eBay and these random companies a certain percentage of every single thing we sell. For what? For managing the sale, for verifying the sale. Instead, now we're going to be putting power to the people to verify sales for us, power to people that are using the network, that are using the D app, to verify as a collective, yes, this transaction is legit. Yes, this transaction happened. And actually, that happens on Ethereum using proof of work consensus mechanism, which we talked about in one of the podcast episodes. But proof of work is just having a bunch of random validators being able to validate and secure transactions that are happening on Ethereum's blockchain to confirm that they are legit transactions happening without needing a governing party or a governing organization to be doing that regulation for us. Instead, for anybody that's using Ethereum's blockchain, you could be selected as a validator to be confirming transactions that are happening on the blockchain. So it's really putting more power, if you will, to like the American people. Also, Web3 is opening the world of AI and also, unfortunately, ChatGPT. I just watched this teacher absolutely crash out over all of her students. I'm going to see if I can find the video for you guys, but this teacher absolutely crashed out over all of her students using ChatGPT.
I am the only teacher in this department that lets you use AI. Your work still looks like all your answers are the same, and it's very clear that you're all just using ChatGPT.
Which I completely understand why she would crash out over that. Like, thankfully, I graduated college just before ChatGPT started coming out and was super popular, but it's literally, and this is what I've been trying to say about Web 2 and the whole social, like person-to-person interactions might decrease, but the same thing goes for in Web 3, AI and ChatGPT. ChatGPT might be diminishing our ability to critically think, critically brainstorm for ourselves. You know, we might be relying too much on technology to advance us and not enough on our own understanding and our own critical thinking to evolve. So that's also something negative that might be of Web3. But to recap on everything that I said, Web3 is putting more power to the people, more decentralization. And actually, I'm pretty sure Chase Bank is one of the first banks to implement blockchain technology. But we're seeing decentralized social media apps, hopefully, so less power to all the higher ups and more power towards the American people or just the average user. We're also seeing less censorship, less surveillance, which is great. We're going to be seeing more decentralization, more blockchain technology. So big companies like Google or Microsoft or Bing or Safari, we're not going to be relying on one central company to be giving us and storing all information that we need. We'll more so have more power on the internet to look for it ourselves, if that makes sense, or look for specific content and then be able to locate it in multiple different areas or storages of the internet, if you will, which to me, that's still a very broad concept to understand until I can really visualize it or see it, but it's definitely coming. It's already been out there, but I agree. I don't think we should have Google be managing and monitoring all the information that we look for in the world. It's like, should we be relying on one company to be giving us every bit of information we've ever needed? It's very questionable. Last thing that I want to say that could be very beneficial of Web3 is that Web 2, when you're working with these central organizations, central social media companies, if you will, they sell your data to advertisers and advertising companies, which then use your data to profile you, to remember when we all had this conspiracy that our phones were listening to us? Borderline, I still believe that that's true, and that social media apps are selling our data to advertisers, and then advertisers are profiling us about certain things that we would like to buy or purchase or whatever. So what's good about Web3 is you'd be relying less on putting your data and your data and your privacy out there to central organizations, central companies, and having more privacy, more control of your own money. And I've already talked about this several times. You guys will have to listen to some other episodes because I really want to get into the current news right now. And I know that this episode's already been kind of long, which I'm just surprised it's been going by very naturally. I really enjoyed talking about this topic this week. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because I think the evolution of the internet in the last 30 years has been absolutely crazy and it's only going to get better. But you know what? Let's get into it. Let's talk about Chapter 4, which is the current news. And to recap on Web3, there are so many positives to it in privacy and having your own data and having more power to the people, less focus on central organizations, more focus on the users themselves and D-apps. And I did an episode on D-apps, like I said, so please check out all that information to kind of understand where we are going with Web3. But Web3 is definitely more Bitcoin, blockchain, decentralized, and much more user-friendly, I would say. User-friendly. Okay, let's get into Chapter 4. Let's talk about the Coinbase lawsuit. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. Under the Biden administration, they tried to sue Coinbase because they were claiming that Coinbase did not register as a securities broker. The only issue with that, though, is that over the last couple of years, we have had no idea what crypto really was. Is it a commodity? Is it a security? What are we classifying crypto as? The SEC never fully solidified in the law what exactly crypto was going to be classified under. And Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has come back and said that Coinbase has made multiple attempts to try to register as a securities broker, but every time they've tried to register, it hasn't been legit, which other companies have agreed with Coinbase, where they have tried, other crypto companies, where they have tried to register as a securities broker, but for some reason, it has never been legit. Like, their registry has never been legit. It's never gone through. It's never been solidified. So for Coinbase, they have been feeling, and actually I'm going to read you guys a direct quote coming from Brian Armstrong, where he said that he felt as though the Biden administration was trying to weaponize a lack of clarity in the law, which is a little bit true in the sense that the SEC and specifically the Biden administration was coming after Coinbase, saying that they didn't register as a securities broker, but crypto wasn't even classified as a security yet. So it's because the Biden administration didn't really support, fund, or approve of crypto. So they were trying to come after Coinbase to try to diminish crypto, diminish Coinbase, diminish blockchain technology, and diminish its entire advancement, even though the law didn't specifically explain the category that crypto needed to be under. So it was a little wishy-washy and a little... Brian, and this is all coming from Brian Armstrong, but he thought it was a little unlawful that Coinbase was getting scrutinized over a law that wasn't officially settled or set yet. And I agree. And obviously I'm a huge advocate for crypto. I think crypto and Web3 is a huge advancement in our society. I think it's going to make everything 10 times more transparent. Maybe that's why some people don't want that, especially because we're seeing all the fraud that's happening in the world right now, in the government, in the IRS. Blockchain technology diminishes all the fraud. It's a daily audit. We'd be able to see everybody's transactions, where all the money is going, and maybe that's why they weren't in favor of crypto. But now that Trump's administration is back in office, they have, the whole lawsuit has been settled. It's been discarded. Binance and Kraken are still under, their lawsuits are still pending. Yes, Kraken. It is Kraken. I'm sorry, I don't know why. I'm not even gonna explain myself. But yeah, there are still lawsuits against Binance and Kraken that are pending, but Trump's administration is for crypto. We literally just talked about Liberty Financial, or Trump's new crypto venture that he started with his two sons. I talked about that in a couple episodes ago. But Trump is in favor of crypto. Trump believes that crypto has the potential to go somewhere, that it could help evolve our society, it could help make our society more transparent, and obviously he is trying to bring light and truth to all the fraud and disruption that has happened. I think crypto is a huge solution to that. I have been saying that a lot of people aren't educated on crypto and blockchain and decentralization, so they don't really understand. Just like this whole spiel about the internet. A lot of people don't really understand how much the internet has evolved and how much it's about to evolve. And I feel the same way about how much the FX market has evolved and stocks have evolved, and then crypto, and it's like, people don't understand where our society is about to go for the better. But I just want to say that the Coinbase lawsuit was interesting to me, that, it all depends on unfortunately, the administration that we are under and what they support. It shouldn't be like that. It should be towards the American people to decide what we think is going to help the betterment and evolution of our society. And just because things aren't going our specific way, or they're not in our favor, doesn't mean we should diminish things that we don't necessarily agree with, because in the end they might be for the betterment of our society. And Coinbase has always shown through so far to be a very transparent and successful company in trading, buying, selling crypto. So just because the Biden administration didn't approve of it, and there was no set law on what Coinbase was supposed to do, I think Trump is seeing through that, and that's the reason why he is giving Coinbase a fresh start, if you will, and crypto a fresh start for the next 4 years to see where it's going to go. And of course, I'm in huge favor of crypto and seeing where crypto is going to go. I believe in blockchain. I believe in decentralization. I think it is going to diminish the IRS, diminish the banks, and put more power towards a more person-to-person world instead of massive organizations managing us. It's going to be less of the hierarchy and then the American people, if you will, and more of just all the American people, and all the American people sorting, regulating, watching, monitoring, not necessarily surveillancing, but just more power to the people in verifying, regulating, and trusting where all of our money, all of our tax dollars are going, and ensuring that crypto is going to have the potential in future it deserves to bring justice to a lot of things in our society that are coming to light right now with all the fraud going on, as I said. I'm going to leave you guys at that. What do you think about the Coinbase lawsuit? I'm happy that they are protected and Trump is protecting them. I'm interested to see where crypto is going to go in the next 4 years. Obviously, I want to hear your thoughts, and I'm a huge crypto supporter, so I hope you guys follow the podcast to stay with me the next 4 years to see where we end up. But other than that, I think I'm going to conclude this podcast episode with telling you guys to do your research on Web3, learn more about where our internet is going, learn about the Coinbase lawsuit, and pay attention to these things that are happening that are, in my opinion, quite unjust, but it's okay. Justice is coming. The light is coming. I believe in it. This is Cryptic Humility. I am Vanessa Hurley, and I will see you guys next Monday. Thank you.